January 22, 1944. South Pacific skies, 15,000 feet above the Solomon Sea. The morning light shimmered off the ocean below like molten glass. 12 U.S. Navy F-6F Hellcats of Fighting Squadron 9, VF-9, droned through the humid air, engines steady, wings heavy with salt and fuel. Ahead of them, black smoke rose from the Japanese stronghold of Rabaul, the most dangerous airspace in the Pacific. Leading the formation was Lieutenant J.G. Robert Bobby Dixon, 24 years old, calm as stone behind his oxygen mask. His squadron's mission was simple on paper: sweep the skies ahead of the bombers. In reality, it was a death run. Blue leader to all aircraft, Dixon's voice crackled over the radio. Stay tight. Keep your heads on a swivel. If they're coming, they'll hit us from the sun. He was right. Out of the glare like silver ghosts came the Zeros. 20, maybe 30 of them, diving out of the clouds in perfect formation, their engines whining like saw blades. Bandits. 3 o'clock high. Tracer rounds cut through the air. The first Hellcat exploded into flame, breaking apart mid-roll. The formation shattered instantly, pilots twisting into defensive spirals. Dixon's cockpit filled with the smell of cordite and burned oil. Brake! 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 He shouted, banking hard as a burst of 20 mm fire tore through his right wing. Fuel sprayed across his canopy, hissing in the wind. Below him, chaos. Zeros swarmed like hornets, darting, climbing, looping with deadly grace. The Hellcats were tougher, heavier, but slower in the turn. One wrong move, and a Zero was on your tail before you could blink. Dixon dove toward the ocean, his altimeter spinning. 2 Zeros followed, tracers zipping past his wingtips. He yanked the stick, pulling into a low, screaming dive that flattened his lungs. The G-forces pressed him into his seat, vision narrowing to a tunnel. Come on, he muttered, glancing at his fuel gauge nearly empty. At 200 feet above the waves, he leveled off, salt spray streaking across his canopy. He heard another voice over the radio: Ensign Charlie French, one of his rookies. Blue leader, I'm hit. I've got smoke in the engine. Stay with me. Dixon barked. Follow my line. And that's when it hit him: the pattern. The Zeros weren't random. They were herding the Americans toward the east into open sea, away from the bombers. A kill box. If he didn't act fast, the entire squadron would be slaughtered. Blue flight, listen up, he said, calm now, voice steady despite the chaos. Cut right on my mark, then dive when I say. Trust me. Bobby, you're crazy, someone shouted. Maybe. But it's our only shot. He pulled back slightly, letting the Zeros close the gap, pretending to run. The Japanese pilots took the bait, confident, tightening the noose. Then, when they were almost within range, Dixon yelled into his mic. Now! Dive to deck full throttle. The Hellcats dropped as one, straight toward the ocean. The Zeros followed, but at that speed, their light frames couldn't hold formation. They overshot, struggling to recover. Dixon snapped his plane upward in a brutal climb, flipping behind them. Now we fight, he growled, and opened fire. The first Zero exploded in a bloom of orange. The second tried to climb but stalled. Dixon's bullets tore through its fuselage. Over the radio, his pilots found their rhythm again. In seconds, the ambush became a counterattack. The ocean below shimmered like steel as the sky erupted into chaos. Dixon's Hellcat screamed upward, its engine howling as he banked hard into the fight. His .50 caliber Brownings blazed long, rhythmic bursts that stitched across the sky. A Zero caught fire, spiraling down in a trail of black smoke. 2 down. Dixon shouted. Keep them off the tails of Blue 2 and Blue 3. The radio crackled with half-panicked voices. I've got one on me. I can't shake him. Dixon rolled inverted, spotting the pursuer, a silver zero glued to the Hellcat's 6, guns flashing. He dove, lined up his shot, and squeezed the trigger. The rounds ripped across the Japanese fighter's nose. It exploded in midair, debris pinging off Dixon's fuselage. "Thanks, boss." "Don't thank me yet," Dixon muttered. He glanced at his instruments, fuel low, ammunition half gone. The Zeros weren't finished. More were climbing from below, sunlight flashing off their wings. Then he saw at the opening. To the north, a narrow wall of cloud stretched across the horizon, a storm front rolling in from the sea. It wasn't thick, but it was dense enough to break line of sight. "Blue flight, on me," Dixon barked. "We're heading for the cloud bank now." "Sir, that's east, we'll lose contact with command. We'll lose everything if we stay here. Follow me." He banked sharply, leading the remaining Hellcats in a tight turn. The Zeros, still confident from their earlier advantage, gave chase. Tracers lanced through the sky, one slicing through Dixon's right stabilizer. The plane shuddered violently. He fought the controls. "Come on, girl, hold together." The Hellcats dove toward the clouds, engines screaming in unison. The Zeros followed, eager, relentless. Then, as they entered the mist, the Pacific sky vanished into a world of white. Visibility dropped to nothing. For a few seconds, all sound was muffled, just the thrum of engines and the hiss of rain across aluminum. Dixon's hands moved on instinct, trimming the plane by feel. His eyes flicked to his compass, east by northeast. He adjusted again, leveling the formation. Behind him, his wingman followed, trusting the voice that had already saved them once. "Hold steady," he said quietly. "They'll overshoot." Seconds stretched into eternity. The Zeros burst through the clouds behind them, firing wildly into the fog. Their formation disintegrated, some climbing too fast, others diving out of control. One clipped another's wing, both vanishing into the soup. Dixon grinned behind his mask. "Now," he shouted. "Break in pairs west and south. Make them chase ghosts." The Hellcats split apart, disappearing into the cloud bank. From the ground, it must have looked like the entire formation vanished into thin air. The Japanese pilots, confused and blind, circled the mist for several minutes, firing at shadows. Then, one by one, they turned away, low on ammunition and fuel, convinced they had driven the Americans into the sea. But above the clouds, safe and silent, Dixon leveled off. One by one, his men reappeared, battered, short on fuel, but alive. "Blue leader to all aircraft," he said softly. "Sound off." Voices filled the radio, shaky, exhausted, but real. "Tucker here. French here. Ramirez, still flying. Griffin. I made it." Dixon exhaled slowly. 10 voices. He counted again. 10 out of 12. They'd lost 2, but the squadron had survived an ambush by 3 times their number. He looked out at the Pacific stretching endlessly below, the sunlight breaking through the clouds like a benediction. For a brief, perfect moment, the war seemed far away. Then he turned his plane west, toward home. "All right, boys," he said, voice steady again. "Let's bring these birds back in one piece." The sun was beginning to set over the South Pacific, turning the clouds to gold. The sea below looked calm, deceptively peaceful, as if the battle that had raged minutes ago had been nothing but a dream. But Lieutenant Bobby Dixon knew better. His hands still trembled on the stick, the smell of burned fuel lingering in the cockpit. His Hellcat rattled with every gust of wind, the right wing chewed up, instruments flickering, fuel needle pressed against empty. "Blue leader to all aircraft," he said, trying to keep his tone even. "We're heading home, Vector 230. Keep your spacing tight. We're all running on fumes." "Copy that," came the reply. "You sure will make it back, Boss. Dixon glanced at the distant horizon. Somewhere beyond that thin orange line lay Bougainville, their home base. It might as well have been a world away. "We're making it," he said simply. "Stay in line and trust your gauges. Don't climb, don't dive, steady as she goes." The men obeyed. Through the canopy, Dixon could see them, tiny specks of metal silhouetted against the sunset. His squadron. His responsibility. The ones who'd trusted him through hell. He replayed the fight in his mind. The dive, the feint, the decision to cut east. If he'd hesitated even a second longer, they'd all be floating in the Pacific by now. Over the radio, Ensign French's voice cracked through. "Sir, my engine's coughing. I don't think I'll." "Negative." Dixon barked. "Feather your prop just a touch. You'll squeeze out another 20 minutes. You hear me?" A pause. Then a quiet, "Roger that." They flew on in silence, every minute an eternity. The tropical dusk faded into darkness, the sky filling with stars. Their navigation lights flickered weakly red and green pinpricks in an endless void. Finally, after what felt like forever, the faint glow of Bonus Airfield appeared on the horizon, a thread of light on the black water. Dixon's shoulders sagged with relief. "This is Blue Leader," he called, voice tight. "We've got eyes on home. One at a time, bring her down easy." One by one, the Hellcats descended, landing rough but safe. When Dixon's wheels finally touched the runway, the jolt ran up through his body like electricity. He cut the throttle, the Merlin engine coughing as it sputtered to a stop. The ground crew ran toward him, waving flashlights. His canopy creaked open, and the humid air hit his face like a wave. He tore off his helmet, his hair soaked with sweat. As he climbed down, he saw the others taxiing, indented, scorched, wings riddled with holes, but alive. He counted each one, heart hammering. 10. Still 10. Lieutenant Commander Ed Tex Wade, the squadron's jogged over, his face etched with disbelief. "What the hell happened out there, Bobby? Radio chatter said you were gone." Dixon exhaled slowly, looking back toward the dark horizon. "Zeros. At least 30 of them. They thought they had us." Tex frowned. "And you brought 10 men home out of 12? How?" Dixon's gaze drifted to the sky, the stars reflecting off his oil-streaked goggles. "Didn't think. Just saw the hole and flew through it." Tex stared at him for a long moment, then broke into a rare grin. "Well, I'll be damned." That night, the mechanics worked under floodlights, patching holes, refueling, counting the scars that told the story better than words ever could. In the mess tent, the surviving pilots sat in silence, nursing tin cups of coffee. No one bragged. No one laughed. They just listened to the quiet hum of generators and the unspoken understanding that they'd seen something few ever walked away from. When dawn broke, the field commander sent out a report to Fleet Command. VF-9 successfully engaged superior enemy numbers near Rabaul. Heavy resistance. Lieutenant J.G. Robert Dixon's quick tactical decision prevented complete loss of squadron. There were no medals yet, no press releases. Just exhausted men, alive because one of their own had trusted instinct over fear. Dixon sat by his plane, the rising sun painting the red nose of his Hellcat in gold. He closed his eyes and whispered a quiet prayer, not of thanks, but of promise. Tomorrow, they'd be back in the air. And if the Zeros came again, they'd find him waiting.